Test, test. 1, 2. Pop, pop. Okay.
We're in my garage in my house in 12 Corners, where I've lived for about the past year, and we're going to be going to the 12 Corners bus stop at the corner of Monroe and Winton to take the 47 bus. I don't drive because I'm very bad at it, and I'm very nervous about it. I do have a driver's license, but for your safety and mine, I'm not driving. When I first moved here, I relied a lot on walking because I lived in the South Wedge, but I also had a bike. And a little over a year ago, we bought a house, and it was a difficult thing to think about. Where will we live that I can still get places? And should I try again to learn to drive and, just give up this crazy thing that I'm doing? So what I do now is I bike during the summer and spring, but I take the bus during the winter. I get out to the bus by 9:20, and then I take it to the transit center, and then I walk from the transit center to WXXI, which is just, I think, a few blocks.
You're going to be biking today. You don't normally bike, so tell me, why don't you bike in the winter?
Partially because it's cold, partially because I am more concerned about the snow and the things on the side of the road. That's mostly why I haven't done it, is comfort and safety.
Okay, and so then today, taking your bike out, it's the middle of the winter, there's snow on the ground. What are you fearful for?
Well, I could get very cold, but I have layers, I don't know if you want to see, many socks and leggings, and so I've got 3 pairs of socks and leggings and that. I've got a jacket and a shirt, 2 shirts, and I couldn't find a full pair of gloves, so I have 2 different gloves from ones that have each lost one of them. But I am also concerned about slipping. There's a hill or 2.
That's the negative side, right?
Yeah.
So what about the positive side? Biking in the winter, breaking through this barrier.
Yeah, I guess I'm doing this. I do know, I see people biking in the winter, and sometimes when I'm on the bus, or if I've asked my husband for a ride to work, as I do sometimes when I have stuff to carry and I'm tired, I see someone biking and I say, they're doing it. They're totally doing it. Maybe I could be doing it.
How prepared do you feel right now to get on your bike in the snow?
Pretty good. I've got a lot of layers on. I wish I had, I know there's somewhere in the house, my husband actually has one of those face mask things. I couldn't find it beforehand, so that might help. And I was thinking maybe earmuffs would be good, and I don't have them, so I'm just going to put my scarf up around my face. I think we'll be good. The backpack is all packed with a change of clothes and all the stuff I need for work, so yay, here we go.
You just rode your bike in the snow for the first time in a while,
Yeah.
and then you came to a stop, so tell me that little story.
Yeah, it took a little bit extra to stop, felt a bit of slip, but I've done it in the rain before, so I'll just have to watch out for that. And it doesn't feel bad. The cold is not so bad. My feet, maybe I should have worn boots, but boots are heavier because I'm wearing sneakers, so I feel like they're a little, open to the air, even though there's maybe 3 pairs of socks in there.
Do you think these fenders will do it for you?
I think they'll help. I'm glad I have the change of clothes. Maybe I think if I should have brought another change of undergarments as well, but we'll get by. So the only other thing, is as I look at the roads, potholes have started happening. There's a lot of gross stuff on the sides.
Tell me what happened there when you were trying to put the bike on the rack.
Okay, well, the instruction on it say you need to pull in and then pull out, so I was pushing it in. I didn't realize you grasp something you clench something and then you pull it out, but I was just sort of trying to snap it forward and back. So yeah, it was fine. The bus driver was really helpful, and I was able to get the bike off afterwards, though I still felt like, oh, I'm the one who's a pain who's taking everyone an extra minute, though it probably actually was only a few seconds. It felt like 2 hours later, I have removed my bike, but it was also heavy, and awkward. So
Yeah.
that.
And also from my perspective here, as you were pulling it off, there was someone still getting on the bus and paying. So it seems like it was more time than it actually was.
Yeah, so I guess it's actually not that time consuming. It's totally normal. I bet the second time will totally be easier.
How's it going?
Cold! So cold! But not bad. The bike lanes are pretty clear. But oh, more layers. Or some better material or something.
So how far in your trip are you?
How far?
Yeah.
We're probably a little more than halfway, right? It's about 4 miles to work, and here we are in April. Oh, we've got the light, guys. My feet feel like ice blocks. I'm pretty sure I don't have frostbite, but I would not be completely surprised. I mean, my hands are actually fine now. My feet are so cold, and I've definitely gotten wetter as I went. If I were coming into work for a day that I hadn't been sort of planning on this, it's probably going to be an extra half hour of recovering before I am a useful employee. Yeah, it's cold. It's doable. I would definitely figure out the footwear situation. I would probably get a little bit more warm clothes, maybe something for my face and my ears. I'm actually surprised how not cold my ears are. I also expected sometimes I've been out and it's a bit cold and I feel like there are tears freezing to my face. Didn't do that one this time. If I'd been on the bus, I'd be at work. I would have read a New Yorker article or two. And so, I know people who do winter bike and it seems more heroic or extreme, I guess. There's been times I've missed the bus and my husband said, well, why don't you grab your bike? And I'm like, but it's cold. And it's like, well, actually I could. If I were in a pinch, I could do it. And if I planned a bit more, and if my feet were not soaking wet, I would do it. So I think winter biking's possible, and it's sort of a weather case-by-case situation. But I am more willing to, and perhaps maybe for my birthday, which is this weekend, I will get myself some nice things from a sporting goods store. Or actually finally talk to someone who bikes in the winter and ask them what things they wear. I know they exist, and so that would probably be a good idea rather than grabbing every slightly ratty cotton sock I own and trying to layer 10 of them together. I bet there are, better answers that people I know would have for me.
I got a text from Mona. Post biking feet despite several layers of socks.
What does it look like?
Very red toes. It just looks like the blood flow is not right. She went through a lot for us.
She did. That was very nice of her. She was a good sport.
Yeah. All right, you get green light.
I bike to work, and I do that in the spring and summer and fall, but at a certain point, like when the snow shows up, I'm pretty much done and the bike goes away for the winter. People think I'm crazy for biking to work, but it doesn't feel crazy, it's totally sensible, but in the winter it feels a little crazy. Right. And we tried, I did a ride, we recorded it, and at first I was really confident and I had knee socks, extra socks, leggings. By the time we got there, I was cold, I was wet. So I know that there are things I could do to make this better. So I'm here for some advice, some gear, some whatever.
Right. Well, like with any winter sport, it's not about the weather, it's about how you dress. Mm-hmm. So if you have the right equipment on you And if you're using the right equipment, the right bike, it can make it very enjoyable and you won't have some of those issues you talked about. Whenever you're riding or doing any sport in the winter, you want to think about your whole body though. So you want to think about your head where you can lose a lot of heat. Think about your base layer and your core. You want to make sure you don't have cotton next to you and you're staying warm. But you also have a layer you can open up in case you get too warm as you're exercising.
Oh, that happens, yes.
Obviously your legs are going to be important. You want to generally have tight fitting clothes so they don't interfere with your cycling. But you also want to make sure that they can wick any sweat away. And most importantly, if you don't have a dog at your feet, you need to keep your feet warm and keep them dry.
And it turns out sneakers are not so great at that. They're full of holes.
Right, sneakers are meant to have things like air go into them. We want to keep the cold and the wind out.
Top to bottom or bottom to
Let's
top?
talk about feet first.
Feet.
Most people get cold toes. Keeping your feet warm and dry is probably one of the most important parts. So there's a few strategies you can take to keep them warm. The first is what's against your skin, and in particular your socks. You want to avoid cotton socks because once they get wet, they stay wet and they'll draw all that heat away from you. So you can look at a variety of different kinds of wool socks, but as long as you get a wool sock like this that'll wick the sweat, it'll help keep your feet really warm even if they do happen to get a little bit wet.
Okay.
That's kind of stage one when it gets a little bit cold. Stage two is to get an overshoe. So this unzips and you put it right over your shoe, over your, whatever shoe you're wearing, and also has an opening in case you do have clips for your bike. And it's neoprene, so it keeps out all the wet, keeps out all the wind, and keeps pretty much any pair of shoes very warm. The warmest option is to get a special winter bike boot. And this is one you can put clips on for people who are clipped into their pedals or not. You can ride it on flats. And it's waterproof, it's insulated, and it's very warm. It also has a slightly stiffer sole than a regular boot that helps transfer the power to your bike, but it's still flexible enough to allow you to walk well. Bibs are the most popular way to wear cycling clothing because you're moving around so much, whether it be winter or summer. Shorts will inevitably start to move down and not be in the right place. So this is an example of winter bibs, warm, waterproof front, but a breathable back. So as you warm up, the back will let some of the heat escape. You can wear it under any of your clothing as well, if you're wearing under shorts or jacket. And the next step is full leg warmers, which is very much like knee warmers. They go from your thighs all the way down to your ankles. Okay. So it's the next step. When things get a little bit colder, this covers your whole leg. If you don't have tights like you have now, you could wear these with any shorts.
But you mentioned something about what layers you have near your body. I mean, I normally just put on a t-shirt.
Right. So it's very important not to have cotton against your body when you're doing any activity where you might sweat, because the cotton will retain that moisture and you'll probably get cold. When you're thinking of over layers, you want to have something that you can open up with a zipper or buttons, so as you warm up, you could vent and you don't get overheated. Overheating in the winter can be just as bad as being cold, because once you get too hot, eventually the wind is going to come back and then you could kind of freeze yourself.
Yeah,
So,
well, you sweat and then the sweat gets cold.
right, that's why you want the base layer to wick the sweat away from you, not keep it against your skin. When it comes to hands, it's very much like your feet. Very important to keep warm. You want to make sure you keep any natural fabrics away from your feet so they don't retain the sweat. And when it first starts getting colder, you can do something like a glove liner. It's meant to go under the gloves you may already have.
Okay.
They're made of smart wool to wick any sweat. But when it's really monsoon time and the blizzards are coming, it's time for the full-on winter glove.
Oh my goodness.
And this also, you can see, contains the two smallest fingers together to keep them warmer, but it gives you dexterity with your two main fingers so you can still grip the handlebar and protection. So one way to go to keep you warm in the winter is to go with something called bar mitts, which, as you can see, fits over your handlebars and your shifters. Your hands go right inside. And because they're made of neoprene, they keep all that wind and any rain off of your hands, and they make a little warm pocket. Often you can wear very thin gloves with these and still stay warm in the winter, but still lets you get in and out very easily. These are neck scarves that go over your neck. You can also pull them over your head. You can just scrunch them down as you warm up.
Oh, hey.
So, which is called a multi-tube. So this is for when it's really cold out. Covers up all your extremities. Also keeps your breath warm because you're not breathing right into the cold air.
Yeah.
So as you breathe back in, it has warmer, moist air for your lungs.
But the bike itself, there are different options that are maybe better for riding in the snow.
Right, particularly in our weather where we get a lot of snow, and also the roads get in really bad shape. There's potholes. A really nice new option are the fat bikes. And as you can see with the fat bikes, they have particularly wide and large tires, which allow you to roll over anything and give you great grip in snow. You can even put studs in tires like these in case it's icy. So it'll take you through any kind of conditions.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Or a high five or something.
High five.
Woo!
So Mona, do you feel like you're ready for winter 2018 now?
Brah! Wait, yeah. So I feel I know what I need for what weather I want to ride in. If I want to be able to keep going a little bit as it gets colder, or if I actually want to face snow. And there's a little bit of shopping involved, but it all seems reasonable in pieces. It might be another year or two before I actually get up the idea that I could treat myself to a really fat tire bike, but that felt really good to ride. And I'm probably going to start with decent footwear especially, and also the head balaclava thing, even though it feels a little funny to wear, it's really comfortable and it's warm. So I feel ready and I feel I have options, and I feel as I get more comfortable, I know what to think about. Before it was just grab every piece of clothing in my wardrobe and try and layer it on top of each other.